what is the most impactful energy efficient upgrades that a homeowner could make?
The first thing they think of is, hey, I'm going to put in solar or I'm going to do a major renovation. I think the most impactful thing that most people can do are the easiest low-hanging fruit things. Do the things that are easiest first, and you get the most impact from.
Welcome to Lawrence Real and Local, Keeping It Real podcast presented to you by the Lawrence Board of Realtors. We're your go-to source for all things real estate in Lawrence, Kansas. I'm Lexie Haskin with Flint Mortgage.
And I'm Campbell Ragan with McGrew Real Estate. Together, we're here to make the journey to home ownership a breeze. Join us as we share insider insights, expert advice, and a dose of fun along the way.
Okay, so welcome to Lawrence Real and Local, Keeping It Real podcast by the Lawrence Board of Realtors. My name is Lexie Haskin with Flint Hills Mortgage.
And my name is Campbell Ragan with McGrew Real Estate.
Formerly Campbell Drake.
Okay.
And we're joined today by Kelly Drake, president of Mallard Homes, Inc. and Store Stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So we are really excited to have him here. And
Great to be here.
Yeah, we're going to talk about energy efficiency in homes and what it means to get a good return on your investment with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you have your green certification too.
Actually, I was the first builder in the state of Kansas to have a certified green builder by the National Home Builders Association. That's kind of been folded into some other designations now. But we've been doing green initiatives and doing green things in homes since, probably about 2008 or 2009.
Yeah,
we
wow.
really started focusing on it. So
That's actually really forward thinking. A lot of people weren't doing that back then, right?
No, it was more on the commercial side at that point, and just starting to get into multifamily and then go into single family homes. So we really started pushing that in Lawrence. There's a few builders that were focusing on that in Lawrence, but we were one of the first, and really the first in the state of Kansas to actually get that designation.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, really quickly, do you want to give us your background of how you got into building and, storage units as well?
Sure. I didn't come to building like a lot of the other builders. A lot of builders go to building or get into building because they were initially in the trades at first. So they were a plumber, or electrician, or a framer. I actually came at it more from a business side. I had done something else, was a corporate attorney for a number of years, and then decided that the travel wasn't as great, having a young family. So switched over to doing real estate development and building.
Yeah.
And we started in 1999. And since then, we've built multifamily projects, single-family home projects, some commercial projects, done renovations, major renovations, minor stuff just to kind of sprucing up a bathroom kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So on the residential side, we've done just about everything here in Lawrence. So.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I know we were just talking about how I go off all the places, and then I just had all these questions going through my brain, but I'll keep it zoned in.
That's all right.
No, you do you.
No, I was thinking, what is your favorite type of building that you've done?
Every one, we try to give all of our attention to it. I would say for me, up until about 4 years ago, my wife and I had never lived in a home that I actually built. I'd done minor renovations on the homes that I'd built. But about 4 years ago or 5 years ago during COVID, we bought a house just outside of town. And it started just as a renovation, ended up a major construction project. And
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work doing a lot of the research.
Yeah.
And putting things in the house that, we'd come across over the years and always thought about putting in our own house. So I would say the most fun I've ever had was building the house for myself. Probably the hardest time I ever had was building a house for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Honestly, it's kind of impressive that you had never lived in a home that you built before, because I feel like talking to builders too, a lot of them will live in homes while they're waiting for them to sell, and then they'll move into maybe their next home that they're waiting to sell, and vice versa.
Yeah, there's some tax advantages to doing that, and certain builders do that. That's not something that, as a family, that we ever thought was a good idea, picking up and moving every couple of years. We really had, we had a home where our girls grew up, and we did some renovations there and did some cool things with that house, but never lived in one that we'd built. We had actually built a couple houses for ourselves.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. And during the building process, one of them, we literally bought furniture for parts of the house.
Yeah.
And we were that close to moving in, and someone came and bought the house. And in fact, they're still very good friends of my wife's and mine after 20 some years.
Sherry sold the home.
After they stole your house.
No, it didn't really. It wasn't a steal.
Yeah.
They purchased it.
They purchased it.
Sherry sold it.
Sherry sold it. Yeah.
Sold with Sherry.
I think both houses that were built specifically for us, Sherry ended up selling both of them. So
yeah. Hey.
Just didn't work out. Till now.
Till now.
So let's dive in.
Yeah. So what is the most impactful energy efficient upgrades that a homeowner could make?
Sure. I think most people think that, the first thing they think of is, hey, I'm going to put in solar or I'm going to do a major renovation. I think the most impactful thing that most people can do are the easiest low-hanging fruit things. And that's one of the things we've always focused on in our business is do the things that are easiest first, and you get the most impact from.
Yeah.
So the simple DIY things are the first thing you should look at doing. If you haven't already done it, most people have done it by now, but if you haven't already done it, switch those light bulbs out to LED lights. If you have the old incandescent style lights, or even the fluorescent lights, you're going to be much happier and save some energy there.
Yeah.
And those are going to pay you back in the long run.
Yeah.
A programmable thermostat is a great solution. You can buy a programmable thermostat for a simple programmable thermostat for around $100. And the directions are all there to install it. If not, there's thousands of YouTube videos out there of how to install a thermostat and program it.
Especially if you get one of the common brands.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the Nest or Honeywell, we really like Honeywell. We put those in our new construction homes. Anytime we do a renovation, we put those in. And those, you can buy a non-Wi-Fi capable, just simple programmable thermostat for less than $100. If you want the bells and whistles, you can buy that same thermostat and it's only maybe $200.
Yeah.
And you have total control then with your phone and through a smart system.
Yeah.
And which is really nice because, turn that turn that heat down when you're gone, or turn the temperature up.
Even during the day when you're not home, for example. Like, it doesn't have to mean that you're on a vacation and you're turning your house way down while you're on vacation, which you should do. But, you can do it while you're gone and nobody's home at the house during the day.
Right.
If you work somewhere else outside of your house. So.
Yeah. And, quite honestly, most people's dogs and cats aren't going to care that much.
They're not going to freeze at 68 degrees.
No, they're laying there in the sun under a window anyhow.
Yeah.
So,
they might enjoy it more.
Exactly. So that, those are probably the two easiest, most impactful things that I think people can do. The other thing that I think people overlook, that instantly, like I said, people go to solar and things like that that are super expensive and are advertised to have tax incentives and things like that along with them. But I think that the other thing that someone can do is start air sealing their house. Check your weather stripping around the door. Has your dog gotten a hold of it?
Yeah.
Has, it gotten pinched, and is it bad over time? Same thing around your windows. Check those.
If you can see light, the space is too big.
Yep. If you can see light or feel air, something's happening, and it's pretty easy, for $20-$30 and a couple hours of your time, you can do a good job at air sealing your house. If you have a basement, same thing, go down there and look around, especially up high in the unfinished areas. If you can see light, well, that means the air is getting in there.
Yeah.
And so, get a can of foam and close that area up. Those are really easy things that you can do.
Yeah.
Would you recommend somebody evaluating that yearly or, every 6 months as season changes?
Well, I think you need to it's like anything with your house. You just kind of need to pay attention to it and always be monitoring it. It's always fascinated me. We've built hundreds of homes now, and it's always fascinated me that people will spend $400,000 on a home and not really pay attention to the outside of it when it's, it's out there 24/7 in the weather and all the environment.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got a car, that they spend 1/10 of that on, and they put it in a garage, they change the oil, they check all those things on their car, but they don't walk around their house and check and make sure that the caulking is good around the windows, that the ceiling around the penetrations where your air conditioner come in are still intact. And painting, making sure that those things happen around your house. Painting really isn't an energy efficiency thing,
but it's a maintenance.
But it's a maintenance thing to help care for your house. So I recommend I always tell people, if you're taking care of your own lawn, put your head up and as you're mowing along the side of your house, check and make sure. Just kind of look and see what's going on.
Unless you're not a multitasker, and then maybe wait till after.
Exactly. But,
oh my gosh.
But yeah, check it regularly. And, one of the other things that people can do that is impactful, I think, and if you have no idea at all where to start, there are a number of energy audit companies out there. And you can hire someone to come in. They'll do an energy audit. They'll do a blower door test. They'll check and see, and they'll tell you exactly where the leaks are in your house. Yeah. They'll tell you exactly how much insulation you have in the attic. And those are, it kind of gives you a list or a starting point. And they'll give you good recommendations and help you prioritize those things.
Yeah.
You can get an energy audit for usually less than $1,000. And there are tax incentives that'll help you pay for that. So, you can get back a few $100s on that in tax credits.
Yeah.
So it's
Did that this year.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I had some insulation replaced it in my attic a couple of years ago and then had it air sealed in.
Yeah.
That helped.
Yeah.
I would say you can definitely get the air seal thing for your attic cheaper on Amazon versus through the insulation company.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you can DIY it,
Yeah.
It's great. You should be, and if you have those capabilities, but
yes, if you have those capabilities.
If you're not physically able, or it's just not your thing, or you're not of the age where you should be climbing a ladder anymore, attics are, they're pretty confined places. Some people just don't like being up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, there's temperature things with attics too. You have to be safe in the summertime and all that.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, you can re-insulate or insulate, put additional insulation in an attic, for $2,000, $2,500, and that's hiring a company. If you do that yourself, you're going to spend half that.
Yeah.
So, and that makes a big impact. You can save probably 8 to 10% on your utility bills, your heating and cooling utility bills by doing that.
Awesome.
So,
I mean, it definitely does make a difference over the long run. So, I mean, if somebody was going on, so you kind of brought up windows and like looking at, make sure air, that stuff. A lot of times we'll have people come knock on our door and say like, you need windows, you need energy. I'm like, we actually just got these windows replaced like a couple of years ago. So when would somebody know like, yes, I need to replace the windows? And is that actually like a good energy efficient thing to do?
Yeah. Well, energy, a lot of energy is lost through windows. Glass is not a very good insulator in and of itself. So the more energy efficient your windows are, the better it's going to be. I will tell you from a cost standpoint, though, usually windows are not the first decision you should make.
Yeah.
That insulation is going to be the first decision you should make. You mentioned air sealing. If you're up in there and up in the attic, if you have the capacity to do that, to do foam sealing in the attic around, light penetrations and things like that. And then those DIY things, the thermostat and the bulbs are the first things. But the windows, if the windows are not functioning, it's definitely time to replace them. It's just
if they're cracked, that's an issue too.
Right.
You're going to be letting in a lot of stuff. And
if the frames are cracked, if you can't get that window to seal up anymore, either from air or water, it's definitely time to take a look at it.
Yeah.
But I will tell you the most, you see the advertisements on television. You talked about the people that come around to the neighborhoods. those are usually the most expensive windows and not necessarily the best windows.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of really good windows out there for the money, versus some of them that have bigger brand names.
Yeah.
So you're kind of buying a service on replacing windows. Now, if you're going to replace the trim around all of your windows and you're doing a major renovation of your house, I think windows are one of the top things you should consider.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're noticing that light, those cracks, you're feeling all the air come through, it's probably time to replace them at some point, you know. But it might be from a cost standpoint, it's higher. So, you might be able to only do one side of your house at one time and then you move to a different area. So, you kind of can look at what elements are, some side of your house is exposed to elements a little bit quicker and harder than other areas too. So,
yeah, I mean, you need to, whenever somebody starts talking to us about what should I do from a return on my investment standpoint, again, those things that we talked about just a few minutes ago are the first and foremost things you should do.
Yeah.
You need to look at things. We always tell people if you're going to make any improvement to your house, you want to get a return from that improvement in 6 years or less.
Yeah.
And so, things like solar and windows and those major expenses are really hard to get.
Yeah.
Solar especially because, sometimes it's like 30 plus years.
Yeah. I mean, solar's kind of a sticky point.
Yeah.
In Kansas, we're actually situated from a number of sunny days in a very good position to utilize solar.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that works against solar, or the things that work against solar in Kansas, is our energy is relatively inexpensive in comparison to the rest of the United States. We pay about 14.5 cents per kilowatt hour through Evergy here in Lawrence. Mm-hmm. That's kind of our average that we pay here. Well, that's actually average for the whole state of Kansas. The average, like in California, is well over 20 cents per kilowatt hour. So, those places where energy is much more expensive, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
Also, Kansas has very few tax incentives from a state standpoint. In fact, there are really none from a state standpoint. They're all federal tax incentives. Mm-hmm. And so you're getting the same incentive that someone from California is.
Yeah.
Also, because we're not as populous a state and solar isn't as big a deal here, equipment can be more expensive. Finding qualified installers can be more expensive. So we're, from the get-go, we're paying more for our solar systems here just because there's fewer choices for us here to have solar installed.
Yeah.
And you could check with your covenants and restrictions to see if you can actually have solar panels.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Most covenants and restrictions will allow them. You just need to check on that and get approved for it. But, I think it's become common enough now that homeowners associations and neighborhoods really, they don't have as big a hang up about it as they used to.
Yeah.
They're more fine with seeing their neighbors have them in their yards or on their houses.
So we kind of already talked about the financial incentives, tax credits, and rebates that exist. So, but how does it impact a home's resale value to make those improvements?
Yeah, I mean, with anything, it's going to depend on where you're at.
Yeah.
Being in real estate, you both know that location is a big factor. Mm-hmm. But I would say generally overall, the research that we have seen is that if you have made real energy efficiency improvements in the house that you can document and prove.
Yeah.
Your house may be worth 5 to 10% more. It just depends on the market, how hot the market is. If every house is selling within 2 days of going on the market, you're probably not going to be able to get that much more for it.
Yeah.
But if they're choosing between 5 or 6 houses, you're probably going to be in a better position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it can help with marketability.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially if you can prove that utilities are on the lower end of things with those improvements that you've made. Because I've seen a lot of, like, for example, there was one, this one actually had solar panels. And so the seller could prove that because of the solar panels, her utility bill was like literally zero. I mean, it was impressive. So, I mean, from that standpoint, that's a huge selling point for someone to know that, hey, my utilities are going to be next to nothing. So
yeah, the one thing you have to remember with that, though, her utility bill may be next to zero.
Yeah.
But her utility bill without those might only be $150 or $200.
Yeah, that's true.
So you have to take that over the course of a year, and I don't know what she spent on that system, but I would say on average, a solar system in Lawrence is going to be around $30,000.
Yeah.
Even after the the federal tax incentives that are in place, the 30% rebate you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's going to take a long time
to get
at $100 or $150 to pay off $30,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I'm an advocate of solar in the right situations.
Yeah. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, I have little mini solar panels on my lights in my garden.
Oh, you're cranking it up.
I'm energy efficient. What can I say?
And your garden's enjoying it, right?
And my garden's enjoying it.
Oh my gosh. Oh, jinx.
We need to stop doing that today.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh.
Well, the next question, are there any myths about energy efficiency that homeowners should be aware of? I think maybe one of them is, the solar panels and that being one of the main things you can do.
Yeah, I think we've done a really good job of telling people those things that you can get a zero energy bill.
Yeah.
But we've done a really poor job of reminding people that, hey, $100 thermostat is going to save you $10 a month, and you're going to pay for that in less than a year.
Yeah.
And then after that $10 is going into your pocket.
Yeah.
And so I think the biggest myth is, think about what your return is going to be.
Yeah.
Rather than a set of beautiful windows that someone's come through your neighborhood and is selling you, or solar panels, which, are great in certain situations, but it just takes a really long time. And the other side of it is in Lawrence in particular, there are some people that it doesn't matter, that it's not a matter of budget. And I respect that, if they are doing that from a climate standpoint, or
it's their values.
If that's part of their values, I respect that. But I think, in the end, most people have a limited budget and can't make those decisions all the time.
The return isn't there.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, that makes complete sense. Some people, though, when I've talked to some clients in the past, energy is top of their minds when they're looking at places.
Yeah.
Like, energy has been something that's been coming up a lot, and then also technology. Like, they want to make sure that homes are smart.
Yeah. Well, and there's kind of an intersection between energy efficiency and smart homes.
Absolutely.
What we have found, and I talked earlier about our personal home. We implemented a lot of technology in the house because I wanted to try it, and over the years we'd read a lot about it, and we'd implemented pieces of it in different houses, but never really as a smart home, a full smart home system, which we did in our personal home, and it's great. It was expensive to do. You have to have some level of technological understanding to even run it and keep it running. For example, I've had our tech guy over. We have automatic blinds in our home, which are great because
life-changing.
Yeah,
that was one thing I wanted for my birthday a few years ago. I was like, I just want blinds that open in the morning when the alarm goes off in our bedroom. It doesn't have to be all over the house. It just has to be it's like from a movie. So then I'd wake up and be like,
they're great.
It was a way of life for me. I was like, I'll know I made it when I have those blinds.
She made it.
And they're great. And they're great when they work.
Yeah.
Extremely frustrating when they don't.
Yeah.
Oh my God, when the power goes out and you cannot get your blinds up, that is the worst. I remember one morning I woke up, even recently, the power was out. And I said, Alexa, blinds on. And then nothing happened. I'm still in pitch dark. I'm trying to get ready. I can't get any of the light on. It was a nightmare.
Yeah. So
Pros and cons.
Yeah,
Pros and cons.
exactly. I mean,
Seriously.
and so that's something you have to take into consideration is how much is that going to frustrate you personally versus just walking over there and opening them blinds.
Yeah.
So, smart homes are great, but I think you have to figure out how you are going to live in the home.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that, we have features in our home that sounded great and probably will never be used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from a realtor standpoint, there's actually to our sales contract, there is the smart home rider. And so to your point of energy efficiency, one of the things on the smart home rider is like a smart home thermostat.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, like an Ecobee or a Nest, those could be named as a smart system, but really those also play into energy efficiency. So what you were
Absolutely.
talking about, those overlap. And I mean, even buyers wanting, one or the other, but a lot of times you're really going to probably be getting both and just not even realize it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and you mentioned vacations,
Yeah.
it's nice to have your, everything turned down when you're gone, but you're on
When
that.
you get back, it's
well,
cold.
well, yeah, you're on that last flight and you pick up, right before you get on, you turn on, your heat or turn it up or turn it down, whichever time of the year it is. And, you get home to a comfortable house. So, that's where the smart feature plays into the energy efficiency feature. So that week that you were gone, you were saving money, hopefully, on your utilities. But now you're comfortable when you walk home or walk in the home.
But then even the safety standpoint of like, it's Kansas, we have frigid cold. And so like you might need to jump up that thermostat to ensure that your pipes aren't freezing while you're on vacation.
Yeah,
too.
you can monitor all of that,
Yeah.
which is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you were saying safety, I thought you were going to talk about like your lights turning on and on with different times in the day. But
that's a thing too.
Yeah,
I mean,
it can all be programmed to do that.
Yeah.
Our house
Absolutely.
is programmed to do that. When we're on vacation, I can be 2,000 miles away and
turn on
turn on lights or open a garage door if there's a service person there and needs to get into the garage, whatever it might be.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely.
And, I mean, too, energy saving because you can turn those lights back off.
You can. You're right.
The whole thing.
But also, there's a thing called the eye where it
Dawn to dusk.
Yeah. So get
my
those
God.
Dusk to
lights.
dawn.
What are you talking about? The eye, like that sounds scary.
What?
Well, it's just a sensor that will turn the lights on at when the sun goes down.
So you
it's
don't
not
have
it's
to
not
mess
like
with
an
it.
actual thing like in your house that kind of like is watching and sensing things.
No, it's
I feel like
a
I've seen
sensor
that in a
outside.
movie or something. And it
Creepy.
No, when you said that, I like
Sorry,
had a
no.
flash
Mm-mm.
of something that I've seen in the past.
No.
Okay, that
No, it's just a sensor that goes on and I mean,
and that's
yeah.
those have been around for years.
Yeah, but that's
So
another
very basic
energy
thing, but
efficiency thing. So you're not leaving your front porch light. My husband keeps doing that. Leave your front porch light on. You have that eye, the sensor.
thank you.
For all those listeners that do not.
Let's say sensor instead of eye because that doesn't
the
seem as
sensor
creepy.
that has the dawn to dusk feature, so you're not leaving it on all day, and you're saving your money on your.
My porch
utility
light
bill.
has that.
Yeah, good job. Okay, it has the eye sensor. There you go. Well, let's get into the fact and fiction section. So the first one, replacing windows is the best way to make a home energy efficient.
I would. We talked about this a little bit earlier. I would say that's a fiction. It's one part that if you're making a major renovation, then it's time to do it.
Yeah.
But air sealing, those DIY things, should be the first thing you do.
Yeah.
Yep. Another one, energy efficient homes sell for more money than non-efficient homes.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier also, and absolutely, if you can document it, and especially in communities like Lawrence where that is of high value to people, I think that's absolutely the case.
Solar panels always pay for themselves within 5 years.
Rarely.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know that I've ever seen a model where maybe in your garden. I don't know.
Yeah, mine have already paid off.
But I don't. Whenever you put in solar, they send you this big package, and it does all this modeling and makes all these assumptions. I have never ever seen a solar system yet, the design of it that.
Even 10 years, right?
I haven't even seen 10 years. Most solar systems, you're looking at probably 15 to 20 plus.
Yeah.
So get it at the same time as your mortgage, and
then stay for 30 years.
And then stay the full 30 years. And then if you make an extra payment a year, then you'll pay your mortgage off in 26 years right after you just paid off your solar panels.
The only problem with that is the equipment's going to become obsolete and probably need to be replaced at some time during that 30 years.
The other fact is that most homeowners stay in their house 7 years.
Yeah. So. Again, it's really hard to justify solar unless you have some very specific things going on. You're a high energy user because of a certain thing. You have a big shop or whatever. You live out in the county. So you just have to be very careful when you look at those assumptions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Smart thermostats can significantly reduce heating and cooling costs.
Absolutely. That's one of the first things I talked about, that I think that's one of the biggest and easiest things for people to do in their home.
Last one. Ceiling fans reduce a room's temperature.
That is fiction that they reduce the room's temperature. But they also, there's several studies out there. The Department of Energy did a study, probably in the mid 2000s. They did a study then with the Green Building Group of the National Home Builders Association that I was talking about earlier. And in that study, they found that most people's heating and cooling portion of their bill would go down 5 to 10% when they regularly use ceiling fans and use them regularly and year round.
Interesting.
So there's a proper way to use ceiling fans. It makes us feel more comfortable in the room. It doesn't necessarily make the room cooler. It makes us feel more comfortable in a couple ways. So in the summertime, it's always nice to have a fan blowing on you.
Yeah.
But also it keeps all of the air blended in the room. So it makes the room more comfortable, and the temperature is more consistent throughout the room. So if on one side of the room, your living room, you have a bunch of windows, and it's, minus 13 degrees like it was, a month or two ago, it's going to be cold over there by those windows. Mm-hmm. But in the middle of the room where there's no windows, no doors, and you have heat registers, it's going to be much warmer. What that ceiling fan will do in the wintertime is keep the air blended. And so you're not walking over to the thermostat and turning it up from, 68 to 74 because you're cold over there next to the windows. Yeah. And there's a proper way to use the ceiling fans. Yeah. So in the summertime, you want to make sure that the air is blowing down on you. So typically, not always, but typically the ceiling fan is going to be going counterclockwise when you do that. And then in the wintertime, you actually want that ceiling fan blowing up to your ceiling. So it's pulling the cooler air that's down below, or the warmer air that's down below, and taking that warm air, blowing it up across the ceiling where there's even warmer air, and then blowing it back down. And keeping it blended along the walls. It's not blowing directly on you, so you don't get that cooling effect that we do when we feel air blowing on us. But it's keeping that air blended. And there's a really easy way on most ceiling fans to tell.
So like a little switch?
Right, the switch. And if the switch is up and down, if it goes vertical rather than horizontal, typically if it's going up, if you push the switch up, it's going to push the air up. If you push the switch down, it's going to blow the air down. Not with every single ceiling fan, but a lot of the especially the basic ceiling fans you see, make sure that switch is in the right direction. But again, just
change it seasonally.
Just make sure it's blowing down on you in the summertime and blowing up to the ceiling in the wintertime. So I always tell people, most people don't open their windows much anymore, so there's not that straddle season between winter and summer. Most people keep their windows closed, and we go directly from heating to cooling in our houses.
Yeah.
I always tell people, when you go from heating to cooling, switch your fans. When you go from cooling to heating, switch your fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Also, while you're up there, just go ahead and clean that ceiling fan, because we all know that doesn't get done enough. So
Exactly.
Like whenever my ceiling fan gets turned off, which isn't very often, then I'll look up and I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
I was like,
You wonder how all that gets up there.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm like, when it's constantly moving.
Yeah.
It's like, when did you have time to land on that?
It catches a lot of dust
does.
and dog hair and things like that around the house.
So do my black walls.
Sure.
Oh my gosh. Well, what do you want to leave us with? Energy efficiency.
Well, I think the thing that people need to think about is do those things that are within your budget and do those first. People get so focused on solar or replacing their windows or something else like that. Focus on the things that are within your budget and your capabilities first and foremost.
Yeah.
And then, if it's something that you can make either economic or value sense, and whatever your values are.
Yeah.
If you can make sense that way, then start to implement those other things. But, focus on the things that are going to give you the biggest impact. And, the biggest impact may only be $10 at a time.
Yeah.
But it makes a much bigger impact than spending $30,000 and never getting that money back.
Yeah.
Fair
Well,
enough.
thank you so much for coming and
Thank
joining
you.
Certainly.
us today.
Certainly.
And then I'm getting joined with a little family endeavor, so I'm the lucky one.
Oh boy.
Well, thank you to the Lawrence Public Library, and this is our final episode for our 2025 season.
Even though it might not air that way, but it's our last recording session this year. So.
If it's not, I'll just tell Josiah to cut that part.
You'll get it in the right
Yeah,
order.
you'll get
later.
in the right order.
Yep.
But okay, well, thank you, and signing off.
Thanks for joining us on Lawrence Real and Local, Keeping It Real podcast. We appreciate our guests taking the time to join us. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you've enjoyed today's episode.
For more information, please visit us on the web at www.lawrencerealtor.com. And remember, whether you are buying, selling, or simply dreaming of your future home, we're here to help. Until next time, keep it real
And happy house hunting.